Oh, hello. Okay, I'm being pointed at here. Hurry up. Hello, and welcome to TheNonProphets. This internet audio program is brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. You're listening to us live on July the 20th. This is the 20th, right? Yeah. April 2000. Oh.
July.
Oh, look! I didn't erase April, so I have July 20th, April 2002. No, it's not that date. It's July 20th. AtheistNetwork.com, broadcasting from the second floor of the Glasser Studios in Austin, Texas. I'm Vic Farrow, and I'll be hosting the show today as Jeff is away on business. I'm joined by my co-host Mary McManamee.
Hi, folks.
And our producer Russell Glasser.
Yo.
And sitting in the background is Jenny Glasser.
Hello.
And Benjamin. He's not going to say hello. He's asleep. So
but he'll be 2 months old in another 6 days.
Months.
Yay!
Back to the news. ACA has weekly meetings Sunday mornings at the Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop, 307 West 5th at 10:30, except not this Sunday because it's closed and we had to move to another location, which is CC's Coffee House down the street at 5th and Lamar.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go in there, and now I have a reason.
Yeah. And Michelle was saying they have a lot of seating, so that'll be good.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I've never been in there before, so I have no idea.
But is it all together? I mean,
probably,
well, I think so.
Probably same as, separate individual tables. We'll just have to steal them all.
When I drive by there during, Sunday on the way to the bagel shop, it never looks very crowded.
No, it doesn't. And I go that same way. I travel down 5th Street from Mopac and go straight past CC's, and I was like, yeah, check that out someday.
Yeah.
Sunday we will.
Yay!
The first Sunday of each month is a lecture series at 11 a.m. in the Longhorn Room of First Cafeteria, North Cross Mall. The next lecture, I have no idea who's going to be at the next lecture, but somebody will be there, and so will I. ACA board meetings take place at 10 right after our regular meetings on the second Sunday of every month. These meetings are open to ACA members, but you can only vote if you're on the board of directors, and there's a reason for that. Randall's card. Those of you who shop at Randall's, and if you don't live in Austin, that doesn't apply to you. Organizational number is 5158, and we'll get 1% of the purchases donated to the Atheist Community of Austin. Godless Gamers, meeting every Monday night at 7 p.m. at its new location here at Russell and Jenny's, the Glasser Studios.
Gotta sound all professional.
Exactly. ACA Happy Hour takes place at Antonio's near I-35 and 183 every Thursday at 7 p.m. or thereafter. Nobody ever gets there at exactly 7 p.m., but we say 7 p.m. and,
Actually, I changed it to 7:30 this week because somebody asked me to.
Okay, straight off the press here. 7:30, yes, Happy Hour. And, if you don't see anyone in there, hang around. The waiter that we have normally is still there. I think he's leaving, though.
His name's Tim.
Tim. He'll look at you if you look lost. If you look for the atheist? Yeah, okay, they're over here. Right?
Did I tell you, or were you there the first time we ever came into the atheist group? And we walk into the bagel shop, and there was like this big group of people over there, and I was like, "Is that the atheist group?" And somebody said, "No, that's them over there," and pointing to a little table. They were just kidding.
Yeah, those two people sitting over there in the corner, hiding their faces.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, anyway, for more information about the Atheist Community of Austin, call our voicemail at area code 512-371-2911 or visit our website at www.atheist-community.org, and you'll see all kinds of stuff that we have there. You can log on to the chat room during this program. It's just the Atheist Network, and there's a little button that says click for chat, or says chat. You click that, you get on the chat room.
And hi to everybody who's already in there.
Yeah, if you that's how many we got so far?
We got those 5 people.
5?
Yeah.
Well, we're 5. So
right, we're 6.
6. Oh.
Hey, folks.
Well, there they are. Hello, welcome to our show. The opening music was "A Better Future" by David Bowie. And you'll hear it again as soon as the show ends. So, that's my announcements. On to the news. Mary, you going to start us off?
I sure will.
Thank you, because it'll give me a chance to actually breathe there.
Okay. Take a break. All right. I'm going to turn first to some world news. This is out of the Associated Press, and basically, church leaders are taking heat this week for ignoring the truth about AIDS.
As they should be.
As they should be. And we know that in sub-Saharan Africa, the AIDS rates right now are just astronomical.
1 in 4.
Yes. And here's some remarks by a history professor. His name is Paul Gundani. And this is the lead of the story. Death has become so much a part of life in southern Africa that church history professor Paul Gundani's face barely bespoke loss as he rattled off the people in his family recently struck down by AIDS. He says, quote, "My sister last week and my brother last year." He's a 42-year-old Roman Catholic theologian. And he says this as though he were lecturing to his class at the University of Zimbabwe. "By now, my nephew may be dead, too." On the wall behind him, a poster read, "Because the bishops ban condoms, innocent people die." And the article goes on to state
They're not
that,
innocent, they're sinners.
Yeah, they're
they
sinners.
died for their sin.
They had sex.
The sin of fornication.
They were fornicating and having sex, and so they deserve to get
Well,
AIDS.
usually the fornication and the sex are hand in hand.
Oh, no. Oh. Well, those stats you just gave, Vic, are for the continent, and it says here that the disease has infected 1 in 3 people in Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Swahililand, 1 in 5 in South Africa.
Wow.
But while some Protestant leaders,
20% in South Africa, 33% in Botswana,
and Zimbabwe and Swaziland.
Swaziland.
Yeah.
I think that might have been Zaire or something. There's all those little countries around there have changed names so many times because there used to be Rhodesia, and I think that became Botswanaland. And it's hard to keep up. I don't remember all of them.
Lots of changes and lots of cultural strife and war and famine and.
I know that there was a big criticism of Mother Teresa all the time she spent over in those countries, helping people who were dying. And still promoting the idea that you should not be using contraceptives.
Condoms. Absolutely.
Just insane.
It is.
I don't get how you can, in good conscience, do this shit, knowing that what you're doing is contributing to the downfall of an entire population.
It is. It's despicable. And actually, the journalist, Christopher Hitchens, he's a British journalist, he wrote an excellent book about Mother Teresa called The Missionary Position. And it talks about that very thing, how she, refused to ever acknowledge that, contraception was necessary. And, basically, while she's helping these people, helping them to
helping them to die a comfortable death.
Yeah, I mean, which is all nice and everything, but,
after the fact.
But they're not, the church and Mother Teresa in particular were not willing
I'm not the only one.
to address problems with our W's today or something. I think for worldwide. Bear with us, folks. Basically, this article goes on to say that while some Protestant leaders concede they have been slow to adapt to the grim realities of AIDS and have been hypocritical about the clergy's own sexual behavior, they accused conference organizers of undervaluing their roles in caring for victims. Now, what exactly do you think, Vic, they mean by caring for their victims? Are they saying...
They mean trying to make them Catholic.
Yeah.
That's caring to a Christian. That's caring for someone. If you can convert them to your Christianity or your version of it, you've helped them. You've done them a great service. You saved their sorry, miserable souls from the eternal fires of hell and damnation.
These are the Protestants who are doing this.
I know, but I don't make the distinction between Catholics and Protestants, other than there is this difference in ideology that they have. But it's not so different from one to the other that I can say that, there are Protestant groups that will say that Catholics really are not Christians. And there are Christians, or Protestant Christians, who will say that they're Christians, but other people are not Christians who are claiming to be Christians. You have the same damn book. You're worshiping the same long-haired hippie freak. All right? I just don't make the distinction.
Yeah. Yeah.
One Bible thumper is just as good as the next.
Yeah. I would generally tend to agree with that, especially in this case, because it's both Protestant and Catholics that are preventing the condom use. Exactly. And so, we have this insidious disease spreading all over the country.
Well, it's
and the continent.
along with their abstinence-only programs that they like to push here.
Yeah.
You can. I don't have a problem with teaching abstinence as a. You don't have to engage. Well, I'm not. Okay, let me rephrase it. I don't have a problem with teaching abstinence as a part of a healthy sex education program.
There's not that much to teach. It's like, you know what, kids? If you don't have sex, you won't get pregnant. Duh.
Yeah.
I mean,
teaching kids
there's also emotional aspects of a sexual relationship when you're not ready for it.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, you do want
There's a place and time for abstinence.
Teaching children that it's probably in your best interest to refrain from these things, and you have the right to say you don't want to do that. You shouldn't feel pressured by your peers or in one way or the other.
Yeah.
Those are important.
But given that at 14 or 15 your hormones are raging and you really want to have sex, you just want it. It's a good idea to teach them how to do this if they so choose to do so, and be careful.
Exactly.
Responsibility.
Well, one of the things
there's a concept.
Yeah. One of the things, too, that really incenses me about the whole thing and the whole abstinence-only education is that when I first went to the gynecologist, I think I was 16, and my gynecologist, I mean, he obviously meant well, but he was definitely a Christian, and he told me, he gave me a copy of his book, which had, all of these excerpts.
Shameless self-promotion there.
Well, let me give you the context here. Basically, this book was useful in the sense that it had the basic facts about sexually transmitted diseases, and all the horrible things that could happen to you if you get these various different diseases. And that was very useful to know. But what he also told me on the way out the door as he handed me the book was, the best thing you can do is to remain abstinent until you're married. And until at that time, no.
Buddy, you should have had that about a year ago.
Yeah, go off on your date here, pal. But actually, no, I was still a virgin at that point, and I was really, but I knew I wanted to have sex before I got married. I mean, I had no doubt about that, and I just
wanted to
felt
have sex at 12. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I knew I was going to do that.
Yeah,
I was going to do that.
That's my first priority.
I'll do that.
For a guy, you can't get rid of it fast enough, and it's probably a good thing that women are so hard to get because guys are idiots about thinking about the practical side of it.
When you're 12, your hormones are raging, your brain
don't
is
want
not
a baby.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want a baby? I want sex.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Have you ever seen that Billy Crystal thing on Saturday Night Live where he's trying to talk to his libido and he's like going now. No, we're gonna go in there and have a good time. Now, baby.
I missed that.
Oh man,
it's classic.
And we were talking about what?
We were talking about HIV and abstinence.
Oh yeah, the bad part.
Yeah.
Well,
that's basically what what these preachers and clergy are advocating in Africa right now and all across the world is they're saying don't use condoms, abstain. And that's just not realistic. So moving right along.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing I always say about that, because I listen to all that Christian radio crap, and so I know that what they're saying is they're trying to push it from a practical angle. They're like, condoms aren't 100% effective. They fail all the time.
Negative.
Right. So since they don't really work, the only thing that works is abstinence. And, if you look at statistics for condom failure, the reason they fail is improper user application. Now, to be really consistent, you have to apply improper user application to abstinence.
Yeah.
It's fine to say abstinence works 100% of the time, but if you're being abstinent and, you forget that you're being abstinent for a while, which can tend to happen when you're really horny.
Abstinence, what's that? I heard of it, man.
Yeah.
I'd say that has a higher failure rate than condoms.
Yeah, I agree. Because then you're not prepared. When you do want to have sex, you have nothing to protect yourself.
You should be aware of both. You should know, hey guys, there's an emotional issue to sex. I mean, if you get involved with somebody and you screw it up through sex, then you've got a lot of extra baggage that you're dealing with that's unpleasant. Right. Plus there's pregnancy, plus there's disease. Be aware of that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have sex,
Yeah, once you've been informed,
You should
Take
know
these
about this
precautions.
other stuff.
once you've been informed about all the options, you have no excuse not to make healthy, intelligent choices because you knew better.
Right.
Of course, now factoring in the well, I'm going to say it straight, stiff dick has no conscience. But even factoring in that, once you've been educated,
That's not a hard concept.
No, it's a very hard concept. I guess that would depend on who's having the concept. Anyway, let's stop that one.
Okay.
And we have other news stories that don't involve HIV.
I
We
actually
do?
do want to segue into this other HIV-related story.
Okay.
In Ireland. A high court has given an order to a pregnant woman to have treatment to prevent the transmission of the HIV virus to her unborn child. It could have serious implications for Jehovah's Witnesses, Christian Scientists, and others. The court heard the woman had refused antenatal treatment to prevent HIV, and that she had also said she would not give birth at the Cumbay Women's Hospital in Dublin. Basically, Justice Finnegan ordered the woman to accept treatment to reduce the risk of transmission of HIV and directed that on birth, the baby be made a ward of the court. This means the court would direct the baby's medical treatment. So, essentially, the court had heard that the woman had tested positive for HIV last March. She was shocked and angry at the test result, but had agreed to attend a support clinic. She had attended that clinic a number of times, but declined to have HIV treatment with retroviral drugs. One of the purposes of such drugs was to reduce the risk of transmission of the virus to the child. So basically, it sounds like the court's just going to step in here and say, yes, you will have these drug treatments for your unborn baby, and you'll like it.
That's a serious issue, though,
Yeah,
because
it is.
now you've had as a part of the pro-choice is arguing for a woman's right to decide, and it's how you balance that with the woman's right to decide, even when it comes to her religion, about her unborn child.
Right.
Tough question.
The thing is, though, I mean, this is real similar to that story we did a few months ago about the father who intervened on his daughter's behalf because the family was Jehovah's Witness and his daughter needed a blood transfusion. Even the daughter was refusing the blood transfusion, even though it meant she was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
The father steps in. He orders it to happen. The doctors do it. You know, she's now in recovery, but his whole family has shunned him because he did this.
Yeah.
You know, it's just amazing the wacky things that religion teaches people to do. I mean, why, you know...
Wacky things that make people do because of their religion is the subject of an article in USA Today.
Yeah, let's
And
turn
it's
to it.
Wow, that
fairly
was a
long
beautiful
one,
segue, man.
Yeah.
I'm getting good at this. I have a website to the article itself, and I'll let Russell put that up on the chat log.
All right.
But the article goes on to talk about some of the problems with countries today. That most of the wars that have been going on in recent history all have religion at their core. And who would have thought, in the article says, who would have thought that we in the 21st century would be fighting battles over ancient religions?
Yeah.
To the alarm of U.S. policymakers, a world that has become more accessible through jet travel and more intertwined through globalized economy and the internet, has also become more riven by religious wars. The bloodiest and most dangerous disputes today, from the fundamentalist Islamic terrorists to Palestine suicide bombings to the threatened nuclear showdown over Kashmir, are all wrapped in religion.
Go figure.
Nobody will acknowledge that.
I
That's
know.
the problem.
Yeah,
Or if they do, it's like, well, that's the effects of having a religion that's not mine.
Yeah.
I should have known better.
Yeah.
If everyone was my religion,
It
then the
wouldn't
world would
happen.
be perfect.
Exactly.
What if the world was no religion? I think that would really be perfect.
I hope someday
Yeah.
you'll join us. And the world will live as one.
Today, the United States is dealing with religious conflicts that span the globe. India and Pakistan threaten nuclear showdown over Kashmir. Over the weekend, suspected Islamic militants disguised in the saffron robes of Hindu holy men killed 28 Hindus in an Indian-controlled portion of Kashmir. Indian officials plan a formal response. The predominant Muslim religion has been in dispute since the subcontinent was divided in 1947. Now, these are the same people who were working side by side with each other to shirk the chains of colonial oppression from the British. And then when they won and the British packed their stuff and left, they immediately took to fighting each other.
Yeah.
The same thing happened in former Yugoslavia. The minute that the Soviet Union fell and there was no more Yugoslavia held together by the Soviet Republic, the Bosnians, the Croats, and the Serbs all took up fighting over issues that they were fighting over in World War I. And they just went back to fighting the same holy wars against each other. They got Muslims, Catholics, and Christians all in the same place, all trying to kill each other. The Islamic Jihad, waging a war against the United States, is steeped in religion.
It reminds me of something from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or one of the sequels, where he describes a war between two races that lived separated by thousands of light years. And so due to the limitations of interstellar travel, by the time one fleet would get to the other place, the war would have been over for centuries. And so they'd show up and just start fighting, and the other side would have no idea why they were being attacked.
Oh, no. The article goes on to say that disputes that are tinged with religion fervor and fueled by religious grievances often involve more horrific violence, from mass graves to suicide bombers to the airborne attacks of September 11th, than other conflicts. Those who are looking to change the status quo see religion as a very powerful mobilizer of human emotion, says Jim Lindsay, who studied post-Cold War foreign policy at the Brookings Institute. You can mobilize people to do things that they wouldn't do on the basis of class, they wouldn't do on the basis of ethnicity, but they will do on the basis of religion. Religion causes people to forget that they're human and do inhumane things in the name of religion. We see the examples of this all the time. You're not really a part of the correct religion, and if you get in my way, we'll smack you down. Religious clashes, of course, are among the most ancient conflicts in the world. They date back millenniums in the Middle East, the birthplace of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In the Middle Ages, Christians in Europe sent military crusaders to battle Muslims for control of holy sites. They just went to kill them because they were of a different religion. So that's all the crusades amount to. These were not the true religion, and they were infecting a land that they shouldn't be in, and we have to go kill them. Okay. It's a very long article. I don't want to go on reading the entire thing. I would recommend it to anybody out there. Just go to that link and read it for yourself.
And we gave him the link.
Yeah, we put the link up. So I will cast this one aside and get on with the next one. But you have a stack. So while I'm digging through my paperwork, go ahead with another one of yours.
Okay. Let's see. Well, a new poll done by the Gallup poll states that there is a new low trust in religion. Despite the interest in spiritual matters being sparked by the September 11th terrorist attacks, America's confidence in religious institutions is at a 30-year low. According to the Gallup poll, just 45% expressed trust in organized religion. In comparison, the televangelist scandals in 1989 regarding sex and money pushed down American confidence in religion to 52%. That was according to the Washington Times. But while the Protestant confidence rate of 59% is about the same as a year ago, Catholic trust plummeted to 42%, which
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, go figure. For this year's Gallup survey on 16 kinds of institutions, religion ranked 6th. First was the U.S. military, with 79% of respondents saying they had a great deal or quite a lot of confidence, which is interesting.
Well, I have a lot of confidence in the American military. We kick ass.
Yeah.
If we ever have to go fight somewhere, be afraid of us. We will kill you. That's no small statement.
But is that a good thing?
Be afraid. We will conquer your ass.
Is that good?
It is a good thing in the hands of a country such as ours, where, despite our problems with religiosity in our government,
we are declared neutral.
Yeah, we're not here to conquer the world. We will get involved in world affairs because it's to our benefit to do so, and we have to live here. But there is no American conquest of the world that's taking place or is about to take place. It just isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's all right. No,
throw in a little 2
Yeah.
cents there.
Okay,
Every now and
I'm
again, I
glad
like
you
to do
did.
that.
No, I'm glad you did. In contrast, only 26% of respondents had a great deal of confidence, and just 9% had quite a lot of confidence in organized religion. Between 1973 and the mid-1980s, religion ranked the highest of all institutions in confidence ratings. So now it's the military. Used to be
It's
religion.
military. Yeah.
Quite interesting.
Believe in
This
stuff that
poll
works.
interviewed 1,000... yeah.
Believe in stuff that you can show is real.
Yeah.
Believe in stuff that has big guns and can blow you up.
You cannot believe in the American military if you want. But
Yeah.
It'd be kind of a foolish thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The poll interviewed 1,020 adults and found religion lagged behind the police, 59%, the president, 58%, the U.S. Supreme Court, 50%.
The president got more than the police?
Yeah.
Well,
No, he
actually,
got
that
less.
number was
He was less
interesting
by
because
1
I
point.
recently
Okay.
heard that he's still got an approval rating around 70, which I cannot figure.
He's
I
in
know.
wartime.
But it's down from
wartime.
89%. So
Yeah, that's
He was
good.
a new president after a bitter conflict with the Democratic president, so he got this boost of popularity.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then he got a war. Wars are always monumentally good for presidencies.
That's
you
true.
become very popular during wartime.
Yeah.
I have some serious disagreements with why this man has gone to war. I mean, I understand going over there and squashing like bugs those people who dared to come attack us on our own land. I
Right.
don't have a problem with that. But to him to, in one hand, talking about his criteria for selecting judges would mean that they have to be Protestant Christian.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah. Then going on the other hand,
Did he
saying,
say
well,
that?
Yeah.
He said that we needed. You talked about this last week.
Common sense
Judges
judges
that
who would-
understood that rights come from God, and when you're talking
So
about
he
someone
didn't
who's
just-
proclaimed that his favorite philosopher is Jesus, you know which religion he's talking about.
Ugh.
There's no doubt in my mind that he means Protestant. Probably he's a Methodist, so he'll probably pick some Protestant version.
Yeah.
But you'll have to be a little bit to the right side of that Protestant version before you'll be able to get qualified as a Supreme Court justice or any other judge. He said when he was coming into this that he would not have a litmus test for judges, and now he's just changed his mind.
See, I only remember him saying he wouldn't use abortion as a litmus test for judges.
Okay, well, still, what's the difference? You use abortion as a litmus test, or you use your ability,
Your Bible.
your Bible as a litmus test? It's still the same amounts to the same thing. A fundamentalist or a Protestant version of Christianity will be the only criteria for getting you into the bench.
Yep.
But you're overseas now still?
I am.
Okay. Are you done with that?
Yeah, let me actually... Yeah, actually, that poll, of course, was from the U.S., but let me go ahead and turn it back to a story from the BBC. This is basically a story about a guy in Iran who was convicted of raping and killing his 16-year-old nephew. He's going to be executed by being thrown off a cliff in a sack. And if that doesn't work, then they're going to hang him. He was arrested last year in the northern city of
That is
Mashhad.
not a pleasant way to go.
No, it's not.
No. How high is the cliff?
It does say, let's see. Well, I thought it did.
It only requires 4 floors
Maybe
to kill
not.
you.
Okay. Yeah, I
The
guess.
height of a 4-story building is enough to kill you.
Yeah. No, it doesn't say how high it is,
part
but
of
it
me wants to
says.
say throw him off a 3-story building and try it a few more times before you end it.
Yeah, like we were talking about that earlier. That if it's your family member, like if I had a son or a nephew, and I found out that he was raped and murdered by someone, I at first thought would not have a problem with throwing him off a cliff. You're gone.
This is a story that it's hard to make a value judgment on because the person who did it is disgusting and the method chosen for punishment is disgusting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I live in America, and I've grown up with that sense of we have a court system that dishes out a fair punishment that fits the crime, and
Well, unless you're talking about executing mentally retarded people. Or executing anybody, for that matter.
Its implementation may not always be fair, but at its core, the idea is that you commit a crime, you get judged by your peers in a courtroom, you get your day in court, and then if you're found guilty beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt, then you get punishment that fits that crime.
Yeah.
And
you're innocent until proven guilty.
Until proven guilty, yes. You have to. If I accuse you of whatever, I have to be able to say this is how I know. This is the evidence that shows that this person did what I'm accusing them of.
Yeah.
But I can see where, particularly being close to the person who was the victim, where, throwing the guy off a cliff in a sack seemed like a good idea. But it's barbaric. We can't go on doing this kind of executions as a whole need to be reevaluated.
Right.
But executing you by throwing you off a cliff is seriously gross by comparison to sticking a needle in your arm and pumping you full of stuff that puts you to sleep forever.
Mm-hmm. And this is particularly horrible because under Iran's Islamic law, the homosexual act alone is punishable by death.
Right. With
a judge deciding the method of execution. This guy has 20 days to appeal the sentence. Other crimes punishable by death under Islamic law applied since the 1979 revolution. Again, this is when the Shah was deposed.
Yes, the Shah and Ayatollah Khomeini took over.
Yep.
Who, until that time, had been in exile.
Right.
Ayatollah Khomeini was in exile. No one ever thought for a moment that he could come out of exile and overthrow a reasonably strong government.
Mm-hmm. And a reasonably democratic government, in comparison.
Well, yeah, but he, religion. Did anybody read these? I don't think I brought it. There was another, that guy who's running I think it's in China? The Christian cults? The Christian cult. No, the Christian cult in China. Is it China? Where the hell is it? The guy. No. The guy who thinks that he has got. This is African.
Oh.
Jeff was talking about this guy who's just the one that went into the village and they made the people carrying the casket eat the dead body before they killed him. This same guy.
Ew.
This same guy. There was a story about a girl who was 15. These people, they raid villages and they steal your property and your children. And they march your children off to this compound where they indoctrinate them and teach them military tactics and make them perform farm duties and tell them straight up that you've been chosen by God, who this guy claims to be, he claims to be the messenger of God. And you've been chosen by God to serve God by serving me.
Yeah.
Which also includes if he has a fancy for you.
I have been chosen by the big metal hand in the sky.
Which also includes if he has a fancy for some little girl, taking them to this tent where he becomes their concubine. But this girl was 10 when she was captured. She was under their capture for 5 years and finally liberated when she was taken with the militant groups to perform a raid where they failed. And they got attacked, and that was her and a few other children had an opportunity to bolt, and they got away.
Wow.
And were returned to their homes and to a camp where some of these kids can go because they don't have homes anymore.
So lucky.
Yeah.
But there are hundreds of these kids that he's captured. He just goes in and takes your children.
That's
and he shows them, at the very first thing she said that she saw was they were at the tent, and you weren't supposed to look him in the eye, and you weren't supposed to speak. You weren't asking any questions, you didn't look him in the eye. And he would tell you, you're here to serve God by serving me. And if you fail or if you run away, he points to this tent where there's these beheaded children. And said, this is what happens to people who fail to serve God. And so they're under the threat of death. They're captives. And after 5 years of captivity with no hope of getting away, that was a sad story. I forget. I was reading that this morning. I should.
But in Africa, that's same guy.
That's in Africa. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the name of.
Oh,
yeah.
Are you done with that story?
Yeah.
Oh,
all right. Well,
let me. Speaking of China,
the Chinese. Yeah, I was supposed to actually. This is an African cult that I was talking about.
Okay.
I just couldn't remember at the time.
Speaking of international cults.
There you
go. Reverend Sun Myung Moon, who is the head of the Unification Church, also known as the Moonies.
He was also the guy accused of gassing the subways in Japan.
Was he
really?
No,
wasn't that him? Okay, sorry.
No, but anyway, he's king of the world now. I didn't know if you knew that.
Didn't you watch Titanic and go
I am king of the world. Woo!
Oh, I got news for him. I declared myself king of the world last week.
No, hang on. Did you take out a New York Times ad?
Oh no!
I didn't think it was necessary. Once I said it, it should have been known to all.
Okay, in a stunning display of triumphalism, the Reverend Sun Myung Moon, founder of the Unification Church, is taking out ads in major newspapers, proclaiming that Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and even God have told him that he is now the Savior, Messiah, and King of Kings of all humanity.
Did he have a conference call with him or what?
Seems like he did.
Talk about grandiose behavior.
Oh yeah, I just think every one of your religions, they all told me I was king.
The ad is part of a $720,000 effort to place the treatise in papers in all 50 states, a church official said.
Oh, no.
47 papers, including the Los Angeles Times and the Houston Chronicle, have accepted thus far, he said.
Ew.
Oh, I can't imagine.
If he's got the money.
Yeah.
If he's got the money and he wants to spend the money to make himself look like an idiot in front of all those people.
Anyway, tax on stupidity.
Man.
Mr. Moon, 82, has long regarded himself as the Messiah, saying that Jesus called him in 1935.
Did you use Southwestern Bell or AT&T?
That was before cell phones.
Yeah, that was before the Friends and Family plan.
Oh, yeah. No 10 cents a minute. I bet that was pricey.
Yes, you have a long-distance call from heaven.
Will you accept the charges?
Reach out and touch someone.
Yeah, okay.
He's touched all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, adherents of the Washington-based sect consider Mr. Moon and his wife the world's true parents.
Really?
A 7,000-word ad titled "A Cloud of Witnesses." By the way, I have a URL for that, which I will be posting in the chat room.
Okay.
Titled "A Cloud of Witnesses: The Saints' Testimonies to the True Parents," purports to reveal the results of a seminar in the spirit world for leaders of 5 of the great religions. In it, 40 leaders of the 5 faiths, as well as Karl Marx and 3 other communist greats, express their obeisance to Mr. Moon. Oh, not only Karl Marx. If you go and read it, you'll find out that Joseph Stalin actually endorses him.
Stalin, yeah.
Yeah, let me actually...
He finally got over his power kick, I take.
See, I got this from the webpage. It says, quoted from Joseph Stalin, 1879 to 1953. Now, this takes a lot of huevos to say that Joseph Stalin believes that you're a good leader. Friends in communist countries, I am Stalin. You have had wrong thinking. As the way you are going is not the way you should go, you must turn to the right path as soon as possible. One's life on the earth determines the place one will live in the heavenly world. Our beliefs are wrong. The worst of it is that we deny and ignore God, who is the origin of the cosmos. The God we denied is the parent of humankind. God is not a theological existence, but our parent. And of course, the parent would be Reverend Moon.
He's saying that Joseph Stalin said this to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, he's touched in more ways than one.
The webpage is just full of this stuff.
Oh,
it says
wow,
also,
man. Well, you know what?
I mean, as part of the statement of declaration, it says, to take this all in, we advise you to relax and open your mind for a while. If you believe in the existence of a higher dimension of reality, of God, of an invisible realm, this will call you to reflect on the implications of that belief. Yada, yada, yada. Since Jesus called him in 1935, the Reverend Sun Myung Moon has carried on a ministry to spirit world in parallel with his ministry on earth. He has sought to gather the founders and saints of all faith around one table of unity. How touching.
Yeah.
Now, who called him in 1935?
Jesus.
Jesus called him in 1935. That would have been one of those little phones you crank it and you had a little thing to your ear.
Hello.
This is Jesus. Can you hear me? No.
Oh, boy. Well, let's go to some more wackiness overseas.
Okay, let's do it.
From the BBC. This is actually not as funny as the Reverend Moon. If Reverend Moon is declaring himself king of the world and says that God has said so, I'm declaring myself God, and I renounce it, and I revoke his throne.
Just declare yourself emperor of the world. Then you.
Oh, there you go. I'm over king. I'm emperor. I can live with that. All right, from the BBC, the Jehovah's Witnesses organization keeps a secret sex offenders register that nobody outside the church is allowed to see, says a former elder. Bill Bowen, a lifetime Jehovah's Witness and nearly 20 years as an elder, says the organization covers up abuse by keeping this database very secret. Bowen's sources indicate that there are 23,720 abusers on this list who are protected by the system. They, the Jehovah's Witnesses, do not want people to know that they have this problem. I can't imagine why. And covering it up, they just hurt one person, meaning the victim. And by letting it out, they hurt the image of the church. All right, the image of the church is already tarnished. It's too late to worry about that. According to the Jehovah's Witnesses' interpretation of the Bible, allegations of child abuse must first be reported to the organization's legal desk. The police are sometimes never told. Sometimes, I would wager that that's most of the time. Action can only be taken within the congregation if there are 2 witnesses to the crime or a confession from the accused. So, in other words, if you're diddling the little girls and boys, and two people saw you doing it and didn't stop you, they can tell on you. Or you can go up and say, look, I was daddling the little boys and girls, and I'm guilty. And that's the only way you can be accused.
Yeah,
before
because
the
little boys
congregation.
and girls never tell the truth.
Exactly. And if a member of the congregation is suspected or even convicted of child abuse, this fact is kept secret. Bill Bowen from Kentucky in the United States resigned as an elder in 2000 in protest of this child protection policy. I think he meant child molester protection policy. But, the quote, "These men remain anonymous to anyone outside the organization and anyone really inside the organization unless you are personally reporting the matter." The story of one young Jehovah's Witness from Scotland who illustrates the danger of such a policy. When Alison Cousins was abused by her father, she followed the procedure she thought she had been taught. She turned to one of the elders. Unknown to her at the time, her sister, her older sister, who had also reported the abuse by her father in the same way. Despite having known for 3 years that Allison's father was a pedophile, the same elders sent Allison back home, where she continued to be abused.
No.
In the end, Allison went to the police and her father was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but the police had been the last to know.
Ugh.
So
Horrible. 5
she
years
suffered.
is all he got?
She suffered for 3 years after telling her church, who she was told would handle this if she had a problem. And they just basically lied to her. Detective Sergeant Wallace Burgess of the Strathclyde Police said that they had told several people before coming to the police that these people had not reported it either to the police or to social services. Quote, "We have a duty to protect, and if we're not told, we're unable to protect." And, well, quite frankly, if you don't know a crime's going on, what can you do about it?
Does the article say if she's still a member of this church?
May
not say.
No, it goes away from her pretty quickly.
Okay.
With regard to any allegation concerning child molestation, the first edict elders are given is to call the legal department. A little over a year ago, Bowen, as a concerned elder, rang the legal desk and asked for advice on how he should handle the suspected case of abuse in his congregation. The advice was, quote, "You just ask him again. Now, is there anything to this? What? If he says no, then I would walk away from it. So if he doesn't confess, you walk away from it and leave it alone." Bite me, you freaks, okay? Just bite me. I think I've got a page crossed here somewhere, but that's just ridiculous. Covering up of now we know why those polls say that religion is in disfavor.
No
Which
shit.
is what we've seen. In the 70s, 80s, we got the televangelists. In the 90s, and more currently, we've got child molesters. We've got
Sun
cult
Myung
leaders,
Moon.
Sun Myung Moon. We've got religious radicals trying to start wars with other nations.
Osama bin Laden.
Can you give me one example of a religion that doesn't do something atrocious? Just one. Hello? I heard that this morning. Jeff did that one last week. That was just so cool. What was it?
That's great.
He was talking about the president. Mr. President? Mr. President? I don't roll out of my chair when I heard that one. That was good.
It's all because God removed his magical shield of protection.
Yeah, magical shield of protection.
We didn't believe strongly enough.
Alrighty. Now, I got one piece of good news.
Okay, go for it.
And I want to personally
It's going to turn out that, we're going to die and we're going to be like, so God, what was the true religion? And he said, oh, it was this tiny little two-man's cult in Pakistan somewhere.
Yeah, they never came out of the cave. I couldn't get the word spit around.
They were the only ones that never did anything bad in the name of their religion. So
yeah, or anything at all in the name of their religion. Personal thank you from myself to...
Some people in the chat room are saying, the Jainists? Wiccans?
Really?
I'm personally voting for the Rastafarians, okay?
Yeah.
Although there's some violence issues with the Rastafarians, I don't know how.
Give me half an hour on the internet, and I bet I will find something bad that Wiccans did.
Yeah.
You could find something bad that some Wiccan has done.
I mean, not to say that I have anything against Wiccans in particular.
Right.
But if you do the same thing for atheists, you could find something, but not to say that they did it in the name of atheism.
Yeah, there's nothing about atheism that compels you to do things in the name of atheism.
No.
It's just not that type of an issue.
Yeah, it's just not there.
The only thing it says is that you don't believe in the existence of supernatural power.
Right.
And nothing more. And it leaves you free. I'm thinking of a bumper sticker now. I'm going to come up with one. It's something to the effect of, or should I say it? Someone steal my idea. Something to the effect of wake up from the nightmare and embrace atheism or something like that.
The Freedom from Religion Foundation produces things that they call non-tracts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That are like anti-tracts that you hand to people.
All right. That's good.
And I think I heard Jeff once talk about, going and standing on a street corner or something. It might not have been Jeff, but it was like, say to them, have you heard the good news about Jesus? Turns out it's our story.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, on to the good news.
Yeah.
Phil Donahue, who's got a new show, and I haven't seen it, had some statements to make about what had happened after the pledge. I think his show started about that same time, or was getting started about that same time, during the pledge ruling. And he says, when he was talking about the congressman on the steps of the House after the pledge decision, quote, when their united voices reached under God, they shouted the sacred words. Shouted! I was embarrassed. The First Amendment admonition is intended to ensure that no state official will be able to claim God's endorsement in the creation of law or public policy. Phil Donahue has it exactly right.
He sure does.
No public money will be used to the benefit of religious institutions or the evangelical promotion of any faith. The separation clause ensures that continued vitality of the state and of religion. It ensures that religion will remain a private choice, free of state promotion or interference. And it's working. America is the most religious society in history. We sing in more church choirs, attend more church services, throw more holy water, and burn more incense than any national community in the history of civilization. God is so popular in the U.S., so woven into the lives of so many American citizens that the task of keeping the First Amendment wall strong is often difficult, complex. But it's worth the effort. Its purpose is noble. It is to ensure that Americans remain free to worship a God of their choice, free to pray in one's home and at one's privately funded place of worship. It ensures that no money from another American will benefit someone else's religion. That's no small issue due to the billions of tax exemptions offered to the religious institutions.
That's right.
This raises the tax bite of all citizens. The First Amendment also affirms the right of citizens to be without any faith at all, to be atheists. Our Constitution obliges no one to worship, pledge allegiance, or believe in anything, not the flag, not even the United States itself.
Wow.
Well, we complain about the media a lot, but there's a big-time media
Bravo
mogul.
to Phil Donahue. Yeah.
There you go. If you go find Phil Donahue's site, or if he has one, and send him an email saying, hey, glad there's somebody out there with a voice of reason.
Oh. And in the interest of keeping our chat room listeners happy, this is for you, Shatnerology. Whirling Blades of Death.
Shatnerology.
Unless you're in the chat room, you won't get it, so forget it.
Rolling
Okay.
Blades of Death. Okay.
Anyway, in our next story.
Shatnerology? As in William Shatner?
Can someone clue me in with what the hell you're talking about?
I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Oh.
Why can't you say that?
Okay.
All right.
Hey, you want some more weird news?
Yeah, let's go for some weird
Yeah,
stuff.
let's talk
Right,
about,
weird news.
no, I don't know, Satan?
All right.
Isn't that special?
How convenient.
This is out of Devil's Lake, North Dakota. I'm not making this up, folks.
Devil's Lake,
Devil's
North
Lake,
Dakota.
North Dakota.
Devil has his own lake.
Yes, they do.
I wonder if they have both. I wonder if it's a lake of fire.
Well, get this. Tom Mertens, a 1980 Devil's Lake High School graduate, was a Satan in several sports, but he does not want his 5 children to be Satans. Mertens, who describes himself as someone who usually... Yeah, I know.
Oh.
I love that lead. This is also from the Associated
Suddenly
Press.
I feel an urge to watch Rosemary's Baby.
I think so. Mertens describes himself as someone who usually stays in the background, but he came before the Devil's Lake School Board this week. Devil's Lake School Board. I love it. Okay, imploring members to change the school's Satan's nickname. He says, board members allowed no debate of Mertens' proposal by the 80 people at the meeting, but they set a special meeting for discussion on August 1st. It would be the 3rd time in 16 years that the controversial nickname will be addressed. The last time was 1992, when the school board voted 3-2 to keep it. Superintendent Steve Swiatek said the direction from the board then was to minimize the use of the Satan's name and the devil image because it offends some people. Aww. The nickname and devil
Some
mascot...
people offend me. I don't see anybody getting
I
worked up about it.
know. I know. The nickname and devil mascot have been removed from all uniforms and receive only minimal exposure elsewhere. What is it about living in the 21st century, folks? I mean, don't we have any, kind of sense that the devil is just a figure that doesn't exist?
It's the short little fella in the red jumpsuit.
People are trying to get Harry Potter out of school libraries.
Yeah, because we wouldn't want to
Unbelievable.
expose our children to all that ritual magic that's in Harry Potter.
Unbelievable.
Oh boy.
Now, this guy says he's not representing church interests, which have been the leading opponents in the past. Instead, he said he was representing fellow parents and their children. So,
Ooh, do I hear a hint of intelligent design tactic?
What,
We're not. We're not.
What?
He says we're not. He's not representing the church.
he's representing fellow parents and their
teach-
children.
Boy, that sounds an awful lot like design
Yeah, well,
theory.
I'm encouraged that religious people who want to push their agenda now have to say, well, but we're not really talking about God because it's so unpopular to talk about.
Yeah.
And it just put him in a position.
Of course, that's exactly one of the things they complain about, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are we at?
Yeah, let's see. Basically, there's one guy who's being a pro Satan nickname. Gary Krantz says that when he formed a Devil's Lake Letter Winners Club about a decade ago for former athletes of the school, he found overwhelming support for the nickname. He says the anti-nickname folks are a minority, and that 95. But Mertens, the guy who's against the nickname, said that Thursday night's crowd was 95% on his side. The nickname has been the Satans since the 1920s. Before that, it was the Speed Devils. So
I'm amazed though from the 1920s that any place in America could actually have the name the Satans as their mascot, and that would have happened.
what is the chat?
Shatnerology now says, I vote we change the New Jersey Devils to the New Jersey Bible-believing, washed in the blood of the Lamb fundamentalist.
There you go. That's a good one. Oh man! All right, we still have a half an hour.
We do.
and we have more stuff. I hope.
Yeah.
We
Good.
do have more stuff.
Good. That's good. Isn't that special?
Yeah.
You hope you have it because
Oh yeah, you want me to continue? All right. Well, let's talk about how wrestlers are using their matches to spread the
what's
gospel.
Michael Newdow's website again?
Oh, it's restorethepledge.com.
Thanks.
Can you believe it? Well, first we had Jesse Ventura, and we did that terrific story. But I know you weren't here last week,
Yes,
Vic,
I heard
but we
it.
did. You heard the story.
The story where he
We did
declared
that.
the 4th of July Indivisible
Day,
That was
exactly.
so cool.
Yay, Jesse!
And it's
bravo.
really a shame that now he's getting ill and in bad health, and and he's also not going to run for governor again.
No,
And
that's very sad.
It's probably going to happen that Jesse Ventura is going to get pushed into the background of the political
Yeah.
world. We're not going to see much of him anymore.
And I'm afraid we're going to see some fundy take his place.
Oh, you can guarantee
People
it.
are
I
so-
guarantee you there'll be a religious person in the governor's mansion after Ventura's.
Well, I don't know. They elected Ventura in the first place, and
Well, yeah, but
Yes,
he's not running again, so somebody who's like Ventura but a little
Ventura.
more moderate is free to run.
that's true.
Ventura is moderate. I don't know how anybody can consider Ventura an extremist of any kind.
Well, he is the only one of 50 governors who comes out against like shoving religion down people's throats.
Well, you
Yeah.
know,
So I mean, if you're the only one of 50 who's doing something, I think that
Yes.
makes you,
but it makes you willing
by
to stand up.
definition, way outside the
It
mainstream.
makes you feel willing to stand up for what makes a man out of you, because he's willing to stand up and say what he thinks is right, whereas all the other 49 of these governors are cradling religion in hopes of maintaining a voter base, because they don't want
Well,
to
maybe
offend
they
the voter base.
sincerely think
There
their
may
religion is right.
there
You
may
don't
have
know.
be some of that, but I think there's a little more pandering to religion than there is in believing. It was funny, you were talking about last week that Jesse Ventura was a great governor, and he was also good in Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that reminded me of the line that he has in there where
I ain't got time.
I ain't got time to bleed.
I never saw him as a wrestler, though.
I didn't know who he was until Predator.
Yeah.
So, Jesse Ventura. We want Jesse Ventura for president. I should
Really?
write him a letter and ask him for a run.
He is not going to win. I hate to break it
No.
to
I'd
you.
will.
still,
I hope for
it'd be fun to put him in there just
Yeah,
shits
it
and
would.
grins.
It sure would.
Run a really legitimate campaign and push
Mhm.
for it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Actually, it would be good to put Jesse in there as a diversionary tactic.
Take
So
votes
that,
away
like,
from the Republicans.
well, no, I'm thinking the religious right will spend all their time taking out ads and writing
Smearing
about
Jesse.
about the evils of Jesse, and they won't have time to pay attention to a slightly not quite so extreme
Right, you might be able to
candidate.
get a more progressive candidate into the White House surreptitiously. Well, I could talk about, if you ain't got anything else.
I do actually. Well, this
Well,
is.
go right
I
ahead
was
then.
using Jesse to
Segue.
into
We do
the
a lot
story.
of segueing in
Yeah, we're
this show.
segueing. Bam! Actually, that's part of the lead to this story. About
Bam?
yeah, bam!
Oh, there is
It
bam.
says bam!
Letters.
Bam!
Well, Shatnerology is full of useful information today. He's
Oh, what
telling
does
me
he
all
say?
about Ventura as a wrestler. He was a bad
yeah.
guy wrestler.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
he does.
Yeah. He used to
Yeah.
get in the ring and demand that all men look away so that their wives could gaze upon his perfect body.
That's right.
I love it.
I remember something about him in the Jesse the Body Ventura. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's
is
why they called him
hilarious.
the body.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
great.
watch it, but what I've heard about it is pretty funny.
Yeah.
A
Bam!
friend
Bam.
of mine said it's soap opera for men.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, back to Bam.
Okay, back to Bam.
Bam, bam.
Okay. A pair of wrestlers sprang off the ropes, hurling their bodies onto a seemingly lifeless opponent stretched out on the canvas. Not the good canvas, Mr. Lynn and his brood of wrestlers save for public matches, but the worn one. The flying stunt won Mr. Lynn's approval. Well, who's this Mr. Lynn? He is a wrestler who is basically proselytizing during and through wrestling matches. Not only are these guys...
How
So
do you
he's
pull that
another
off?
bad guy wrestler.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
I don't know that he has a nickname yet, but he was inspired apparently by Christian wrestler George South and John Jacobs' Power Team. Mr. Lynn and fellow shaved head wrestler Daniel Kaufman ended a 2-year association with the Augusta, Georgia-based National Wrestling Federation 6 months ago and founded the CWA, Christian Wrestling Alliance. There are people who won't set foot
Tag me with a
I know. There are people who, but see, get this. In a way, it's kind of scary, folks, but it's quite effective because they're actually getting crowds who come and watch this stuff. These are people who won't set foot inside a church, even on Easter, but they will come see a wrestling show, even if it isn't a church, he said. This is the way we can reach real people. Alliance ends exhibitions.
I see a trap. The
I
wrestling
know.
is the bait.
Yeah.
Church is the trap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bam!
Oh,
yeah.
Alliance ends exhibitions with wrestlers gathered around a Bible in the middle of the ring and an altar call. Its theatrics are less Raw is War or SmackDown, cable TV's #1 and #2 shows, and more parable, said Mr. Lynn, who is working on a David and
Boy, that's
Goliath
gonna be a big
theme.
hit.
Yeah, for future exhibition.
I bet that'll be as popular as the XFL.
What was? Oh yeah, the Christian.
No. It was
Or what was that?
the Extreme Football League.
Oh,
it failed
Extreme.
miserably.
Oh,
It was
okay.
Like, I don't know.
I didn't hear about that.
I'm not a football fan, so
I'm
I
not
can't
either.
tell you much.
Nor am I.
Sorry, not next
Yeah,
door.
but you're becoming a baseball fan, right?
Yeah, I am. A big one.
Okay, we'll have
But we
we're
don't
gonna
have to talk
with
about
you.
that.
But yeah, let's stick to wrestling. Instead of secular music in the background at matches, fans hear heavy metal Christian bands. No weapons are allowed, no stunts are allowed outside, and anybody using profanity is ejected.
Yeah.
Fans go home from Alliance matches with tracts and Bibles. Quote, we make sure everybody has one before they leave, Lynn said. The ministry sells T-shirts and CDs at exhibitions to cover expenses, such as the light and sound systems. So, yeah.
Why doesn't God just provide those?
Because God is Sun, Myung, Moon, and he doesn't...
Oh, right, yeah, God doesn't care about wrestling.
Right.
He's too busy talking to Sun and Moon, having a conference call with Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha. And Stalin.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a panel, man.
Yeah.
I'll do that on politically incorrect.
Really? Yeah, so that's really all I wanted to do on that story, but I just thought it was pretty hilarious.
So, everybody knows that I wasn't here 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I wasn't here on 4th either, but...
You were honeymooning.
Yeah, I got married.
You got married.
We went on the honeymoon in June. That worked out okay, so we got married.
Yeah, you went
That's
to the
the way you
Texas
do it.
coast, right? You
We
went
went
to South Padre
Island
Cool.
and hung out on the beach and...
Cassandra's so sweet.
Yeah, I know.
She's a good woman.
Yes, she is. And,
The little woman.
The little woman.
yeah, don't say that to her face.
No,
Okay.
she'll get mad.
I know better than that.
Yeah, she's into that kickboxing stuff, man. She'll put a whooping on you.
So what? Yeah. So.
We eloped. I
And
was
tell
reminded
us-
of this because you handed me this magazine that has an article about eloping on a budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had on a budget. It was a budget of $80.
Wow.
$80 bought us a marriage license and the fee to get the justice of the peace to give us the most disgustingly sickly poetic sermon I have ever heard. It was almost
Yeah, tell us
gross.
about it. That was a great story.
Talk about adventures in downtown and the courthouse politics.
This is in Austin, Texas,
This
in
is
case anybody
Austin.
forgot.
We went down there and to get the license.
Yeah.
And on certain days of the week, at certain times of the day, you can get a waiver for the 72-hour waiting period. And you know, we figured if we're going to go down there and make a trip downtown,
Yeah.
other than the bagel shop, and have to find parking during the week and pay for that shit,
Yeah.
we're only going to do it once. All right,
Yeah.
we ain't going down there and having it twice. So we went down there.
That's
we got
so sweet.
We got the marriage license and we got the waiver, and we went from that room up to the 5th floor where we went to a courtroom that was in session. The
Now, was this like traffic court?
No, this is the uncontested court. It's vaguely similar.
Okay.
Predominantly what you find in the uncontested court is uncontested divorces.
Ah.
So we sat there listening. Well, before we ever got in the room, we walked up and all these people are sitting outside the courtroom. The courtroom doors are closed. And I opened it up a little bit, and there's a judge at the bench talking to some people. There's a court proceeding in action.
Yeah.
And no one around to talk to. There's nobody taking your paperwork to say, what do you need and where to put you on the docket. So I'm like, what do we do? And nobody else around seemed to know either. So we went back down to the 2nd floor to ask the girl at the other counter we just came from, there's a court proceeding going on in there. How are we supposed to get in? And she didn't know either.
Oh, no.
So, and she worked there. We went back up, and finally we went inside the courtroom, sat down, and somebody was sitting there like, what's going on here?
What are we
You
doing?
got to go talk to that girl, which is this clerk.
A different
She's
clerk.
sitting in the same courtroom, but she's sitting next to him at the bench. It's basically one big bench with her her little desk and his big bench.
Yeah.
And so while he's having stuff going on, you're approaching. I watch too much television, and when I see courtroom things, when you go to approach the bench, you have to ask for permission.
Yeah.
And I just didn't. I wasn't about to walk up to the damn bench of a court and proceeding in progress, and just hey, I'm here. We're gonna need to get my waiver. But that's exactly what you had to do. You had to walk up there and talk to the clerk, and while he's doing this thing right next to you, so just send it and go here.
Must have been relieved that a couple of people were actually getting together instead of splitting up.
Yeah, we were the only ones.
On the other hand, you've probably gotten pretty cynical.
Everybody else who was in that room was a divorce
getting a
case.
divorce? Aww.
And so you had, while we're sitting there waiting for our turn, the one lady comes up with her representative, and he reads off this thing about, there's no children in the marriage is unsupportable, blah, blah, blah. And then the next one came up with their representation, said the exact same thing. And I'm like, okay. And this other woman who was not being represented by anybody came up by herself, and she read the exact same thing. And I'm like, okay, you get a script for a divorce. I see how it works now. You get a script, you read the script, the judge said, okay, I grant you your divorce. Apparently there are certain conditions that must be met, and you have to read this little script that announces that all these conditions are met before you can get your divorce.
And then the judge says okay.
And the judge says okay. And nobody, was rejected. He didn't even ask any questions.
Well, what you really want to do is go to some Middle East country where all you have to say, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. And you're divorced.
And you're divorced.
Yeah. I took my heels 3 times, and I'm back in Maryland, or back in Kansas.
But only the guy can decide that.
Right, the women can't.
So we got that waiver, and now we're not finished yet. We've just got halfway through the procedure here. And we go back down to the second floor again, and we go to this other desk where we have to pay for the fees for the justice of the peace. And so then you have to walk down the hall, around the corner, back down the other hall, and into the tiniest courtroom you've ever seen. I mean, Judge Wapner had a bigger courtroom than this. It's just tiny.
Studio.
Yeah, it's teeny tiny little courtroom. They only had 6 benches for the jury. Got there, and we're the only ones in the room. We're sitting there waiting. And he finally shows up, and there's really nobody there. So we got this interview. He asked a couple of questions. Where are you from? What do you do?
Yeah.
He was actually kind of entertaining, and I'm thinking, hey, we're going to sit here and get married, and we're sitting at a table. We're going to sign the papers, and it's going to be done. No such luck.
Oh.
He had to get up, stand up, and then he gave his sickly poetic marriage.
And he talked about
thing.
God, didn't he?
No, he did
not.
not.
He didn't?
Not during
Oh,
that.
that's good.
The last thing he said was, God bless you and keep you.
No.
Which was after he had declared his marriage, so, I can discount it now. I can edit it out of the end of it.
Yeah.
It's just a simple greeting thing. Like, it didn't bother me that much.
Yeah.
About that much.
Okay, yeah.
So, finally, after all that, in about 2 hours, we're married. Walking out of the courtroom, married.
Yeah. Oh,
so, yep.
That's so exciting. And $80.
And $80. $80 for. And then I got to hounding.
So what?
One of my arguments against getting married was, we're going to get the marriage penalty tax. We're going to have to pay more taxes. But she's already figured out how that's not going to work. So, she's into the tax books now, figuring out how we're going to file.
All right. I hope she'll tell me.
Really cool to have somebody who thinks that the math is easy. She looks at this stuff and she'll look at it and say, okay, and be telling me what it's about. I'm like, I could look at tax information for 2 weeks and still not tell you what it is.
Unfortunately, in my marriage, I am that one, so I can't go to somebody else.
See, I'm not the one. I had a business of my own once, and then I paid for it later for about 2 years in taxes.
Yuck.
So no, never again.
So what was the $80 for?
30-something is for the marriage license, and another 30-something for the procedure, and it all totaled, I think it was a little less than $80.
Okay.
About $80.
Yeah.
I pulled $80 out of the ATM that morning to go get married.
Yeah. So cool.
So,
well, Shatnerology says congrats, and you beat him by $80.
I beat him
by $19.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got a bargain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Discount wedding.
Discount wedding. Yeah, just like that magazine article, eloping on a budget.
Yep.
I don't know what this article is about. It's just got these couples sitting here on a beach in what looks like might be Greece.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot.
It's a book about Florida, isn't it?
No, it's
just travel.
Yeah,
Right.
one of the locations is Greece. They go in
That
order
looks like
from the
Greece.
most expensive to the least, and the most expensive one is Nevada.
Nevada?
Or no, I'm sorry, they go from least expensive. Nevada's the least expensive. That's
that's at home.
$1,045.
It's all international travel. Of course it's cheaper.
Well, yeah, and plus you get really cheap places to stay at the casinos.
Right.
Because they count on you spending all your money gambling.
Exactly.
So as long as you don't do that.
There you go.
But get this, it's $1,045 per couple for 5 nights, including airfare. It's not too bad.
Ooh.
And then the most expensive one they have in here is to Greece. And I think that one is about $3,000 if memory serves. But again, that's airfare and for two people and
that's not too
you're
bad.
paying for the vacation more than
yeah, more than the marriage license.
Ooh, one of your hotels a patty.
But they'll do it right there.
what, in Greece?
Yeah.
Oh.
You can get your license there and everything.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about going to Greece, and I'm still not thinking about it. So,
Yeah. Just an option.
anyway, that's my milestone for the year.
That's so exciting.
I'm married.
So does it feel different?
No,
Yeah.
we've been together for a while now. We've been
Yeah.
married. Hey, what I said, that's right. We're legit now. We got permission from the government to have sex. We can have. We're not living in sin anymore. Jerry Falwell would be proud of us. We're not living in sin. Although we are an interracial couple, so I guess he wouldn't like that
No,
either.
he would.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to do our part to. If and when we decide to have children, we're going to claim that we're doing our part to make the world atheist and brown.
Yay!
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
So when are you getting married?
I don't know.
You don't want to tell us.
Ask Tim. I don't know.
Tim? Tim?
When are we getting married?
Tim? Oh, no. I hope he's not listening. He's going to be mad. Dick Bennett?
Shut up, Bennett. Well, I don't know yet.
You know the first question out of everybody's mouth when you feel, we got married Friday. Oh, when do the children do?
They can't be satisfied with the marriage.
One of them actually asked, are you pregnant? Because we got married. We talked about because we had the least amount of ceremony you could possibly have, and we had the anti-wedding for all intents and purposes. We just got married. Lots of people though, the first thing they'll ask you, "You're married? Oh, that's so sweet! Congratulations! When are the children?"
It's like, hold up.
When do you have any? Whoa, wait, whoa,
Hold
hello.
on, hello, slow down.
No.
Yeah.
Not just yet. I mean, it's.
You got to get used to
It's
each
an open
other.
question right now, but
It's like people can't accept the fact that you want to just enjoy being married for a while.
right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Our non-traditional wedding led some people to think, "Oh, you must be pregnant already." I see.
like,
No.
Well, we got 15 minutes, and I got some email stuff.
Oh,
Oh,
goody.
yeah,
Yes.
do
So
it.
we have listeners, and they email us.
Yeah.
And sometimes they say things that's cool.
Hi, listeners. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah.
We've got a good full chat room.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just thought this would be kind of neat, and I have to give a disclaimer that I'm blatantly plagiarizing somebody from Usenet.
Okay.
Something I ran across in alt atheism.
That's all right. I
this
plagiarize everybody for the news,
was
too. So.
really entertaining.
shamelessly
entertained me
do it.
this week. And the reason it's funny to me is because I have a grandmother who spams me. She sends me.
Christian fodder?
Well, she's Jewish, but a lot of the stuff she sends is Christian fodder because
Okay.
she, as long as it's cutesy religious sentiment, it doesn't really matter that much to her. Do you guys have people who
I had a
send you that
relative.
crap?
No.
I had a relative forwarding me her religious emails that she was getting from other people without touching them, just basically forward.
Yeah.
And she forwarded everybody. So you have this enormous list of everybody that this thing has been to.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah.
I finally, and for a while I was just being polite and just deleting them. And then I finally had to send a message to stop sending me this stuff because you're going to send me a virus. And that's how I put it. Whether or not you could actually get a virus that way, I don't know, but it sounded like a good excuse.
Yeah, but I hear complaints from people all the time they just got on somebody's mailing list, whether it's a
Yeah.
relative or just some random idiot they met, who, with the best of intentions, send them the most despicable religious stuff.
Yeah.
Seems to be no shortage of idiots.
And what I found on alt.atheism this week, and I can post a link to that too when I'm done with this, it was a really nice comeback to one of them.
Yeah.
The original one was a little poem / prayer that was sickening. And I'll just read a little of
As
it.
all poetry is.
So, no, it's not.
Yes, it is. I hate poetry.
Oh, well, I don't want to argue about that right now.
Why not? Come on, bring it on.
But anyway, just to give you an idea, it starts, "Now I sit me down in school where praying is against the rule, for this great nation under God finds mention of him very odd. If scripture now the class recites, it violates the Bill of Rights, and any time my head I bow becomes a federal matter now." I'll just skip to the end. "It's scary here, I must confess. When chaos reigns, the school's a mess. So, Lord, this silent plea I make. Should I be shot, my soul please take. Amen. If you aren't ashamed to do this, please pass this on."
Writing back a letter.
It's a virus, like you said.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about people transmitting a virus. This is a virus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And writing back a letter saying, yes, I would be too embarrassed to send this on.
It's a virus on the conscience of humanity.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, anyway, the response was, "Kids, please pause for Muslim Rebecca, who'd like to kneel and pray to Mecca. Now be quiet while Hare Krishna Jay intones his mantra in class today. Let us give time to Mormon Rod, who's ready to become a god. Catholic kids around the nation will get their transubstantiation. Please pause while little Buddhist Kate takes some time to meditate. Whoops, looks like our own Shinto Lester wants to worship his ancestor. And our little Hindu Ivana thanks Ganesh for her nirvana. And a Scientologist named Peter would like some time on his e-meter. Okay, kids, you've given voice to the gods of all your choice. For the lesson today, I'm going to tell about long division. Oops, there's the bell. Indeed, the kids would object Indeed, the parents would object from kids' prayers that are not correct. Because Christian kids would be liable to find ideas not in the Bible.
Oh, boy.
Then we'd see the sour grapes of those theocratic apes who want to loudly voice the prayers of any religion as long as it's theirs.
Yeah. Here,
That's a
here.
good one.
Well
That's
stated.
a good one. Do we know who wrote that?
So, no, the person who posted it didn't know who wrote it either. So it's one of those unattributed things that's been floating around for a few years.
So it's that,
Yeah.
like you used to have in the textbooks in school by Anonymous?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would like to know who wrote it. But
Yeah, I would too.
Anyway,
That's great.
that's it.
Where are we?
I've also got, if nobody else has some more
No,
material.
go for it.
Go.
I've got a letter that, as the webmaster of the Atheist Community of Austin, I receive emails and get first crack at replying to them.
Yeah.
And I got this letter from somebody who wrote, "Feedback on website. I have to say your website doesn't make much sense. If you claim to be tired of religious groups trying to cram religion down your throats, then why don't you stop trying to cram atheism down everyone's throats by telling them to organize and teach atheistic ideals?"
Oh.
Okay, what would those ideals be?
Well,
did someone forget to hand me the handbook on atheism?
Yeah, it comes after the part that says "take over the world."
Oh, okay, right. I skipped that
It's on
meeting.
page 73.
Yeah, I skipped that meeting. I'm sorry.
Anyway, I wrote back, when have we shoved anything down your throat? Apparently, you chose to find our website, chose to read it, and chose to write email about it. No one asked you to do any of that. You did it of your own free will. What have we forced you to do?
Exactly. And to him, shoving it down our
Her.
throat. Oh, her.
Christina.
Okay. To her, shoving it down her throat just means that because
You
we
spoke of it all.
exist.
No presence at all.
Yeah. That's so gross. It's like, I can't
Oh.
believe anybody would take that
Chatnerology
stance.
is claiming credit for that poem that I just
Are
read.
you?
Wow.
Okay, well.
Like Reverend Moon claims he's
That he's got.
I don't
Well, he
know.
might have. I mean,
Wow.
maybe he
It
did.
says, is my name at the bottom John Hatan? And that sounds familiar,
That does
actually,
sound
but I'm
familiar.
not sure.
Was he ever on the
Okay.
Atheist?
No.
Does he
List?
post alt atheism? Chatnerology, do you post alt atheism? No, this was posted by somebody else to Atheism, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was posted by somebody else who said they didn't know who wrote it.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, Shamanology, if you wrote it, congratulations.
Congratulations. That's an awesome poem.
Yeah, no kidding. That was really nice.
Anyway, to continue with the letter that I got.
Yeah.
You are, in fact, operating just like the organizations you claim to hate, churches.
I never claimed to hate churches.
That's what I said. I'm afraid you misunderstood our position. We don't hate churches, and I don't know where you got that idea. And finally, she says, I will pray for you because I can tell by your website that you are desperately wanting to join a church. Okay?
Yeah, and I'll not pray for you because I can tell that you're a desperate moron.
And you don't believe in prayer.
I don't believe in prayer anyway.
I said, wrong again, I'm afraid, but feel free to pray for us, and then come back in a year and check on us. If we haven't disbanded by then you can presume that your prayer didn't work.
There you go.
That's the scientific method in action right there.
There you go.
Exactly.
An objective test.
Objective test. That's it.
Okay. We got 5 more minutes to kill.
5 more minutes to kill. We're not killing time, we're utilizing it.
Utilizing.
Yes.
We're leveraging it.
Leveraging bandwidth. There we go. Nothing else happened this week that we need to talk about?
Well, actually, we already said congratulations to Susan and Scott
That's
last
right.
week.
Susan and
yes,
Scott
that's right.
beat me to the punchline.
They did. They got
we had,
married.
we had talked about this, a week or so before, and we were just going to wait till the last minute to tell everybody. Oops. Yeah.
So why did y'all want to keep it a secret? Because you didn't want people showing up.
I didn't want this big mess, and she didn't want this big mess of everybody, making a big mess out of the deal, and all this, bunch of people coming around, and if you're looking for a pin, that's not it.
But you negated the possibility of getting all those cool gifts.
Yeah.
That's true.
I know, but you could. If you want to give me something, I'll be happy to take
Sure,
it.
just
You want to give me
tell
something?
us what you need.
Give me something. Yeah. Hey, are you people out there? Send me money.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I can take up another topic that we touched earlier, which is, so what do you do about those annoying relatives or friends who send you crap like that?
Beat them with a 1-inch stick?
Well, in my case, like I said, it's my grandmother. And
Yes,
not
you
only
do.
is it my grandmother, but it's also my grandmother who has sent some very large cash gifts in the past.
Can't beat her with a stick. That would not be good for the cash
Well,
gifts.
I think it's all right just to accept the fact that she has her belief system and you have yours, and just leave it at that.
Yeah, all I do is I just hit the delete button and I don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
not
because she
worth it
sends
to
the
me.
same ones to you too, right?
Yeah, big deal. Let her send it. I just hit delete and go on.
I did that for a
Jenny
while.
has a very practical attitude towards it. It's
Yeah.
you sent us money, shut up and delete it.
I did that for a while. I just deleted them, and then I got tired of getting them, because they don't stop. They just keep on coming. If you don't acknowledge that you don't want this, they assume you do. And then she started sending those chain letters, those email chain letters.
Oh, I hate those.
And so I'm like, please stop this. And so I had to send a note. I sent a polite message. Simply stating that I didn't want to get these forwarded type messages, because basically what she was doing was just hitting forward and sending what she got to me. So if there is a virus packed in that message, she's just passing it along.
Yeah.
And that's the way I explained it. This is a dangerous way to be sending email, and I would appreciate not sending me this unsolicited stuff. And she stopped.
Yeah, well, unless it contains an attachment. Or did you say that it does?
I don't even... Yeah, they all contained attachments. They were all forwarded emails that you had to open up. Don't open them.
Yeah, don't open it.
And so, but it was annoying to get them. And so I finally had enough, and I just sent it was a polite letter. I didn't cuss, raise my voice, or get mad. And anyway, I just said, I'd appreciate you just stop sending me these emails. And she did. So that was a story with a happy ending.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, too, to keep in mind is that, when you have loved ones who are Christian, obviously their Bible says that they need to proselytize, and so that's what they're going to do.
But some of these emails are so despicably insensitive on top of all that. I mean, they're like, forwarding angry editorials about how atheists should get the hell out of our country, and I can't understand people doing that, especially when they know you're an atheist.
Why would your grandmother do that?
No, she doesn't tell. I don't think she does that.
Okay.
But Ginny's ex-boss sent her something in very poor taste.
Ew.
Who she's ostensibly on good terms with.
Well, yeah,
So,
that's odd.
I don't know.
Maybe that's one of the things where, some people claim to be your friends, but they're really not. They're just trying to change your mind about your own belief system.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think we've managed to fill all the time.
Hey, cool.
So,
and Jeff ought to be back next week.
Yeah, he ought to be.
But I will not because my
Jeff, if you're listening, we missed you.
Yeah, Jeff. Come back soon.
He'll be back next week. I will not be back next week. My work schedule has
Oh.
changed, and that's my on-call week now. And I get a few more on-call weeks per year.
Bummer. We'll see if we can get Paul back more regularly or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And I it's one of those things you could take a chance to come here or not. Anyway, that's us for. Thanks for
Bye,
listening to us,
folks.
folks.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you
Thanks
next
to all
time.
the folks in the chat room.
Same atheist channel, same atheist time.
and we're leaving you with David Bowie.
David Bowie.
A Better Future.
Right on.